Welcome to the GOTech Forum, eCommerce. This session is in collaboration with Hong Kong eCommerce Supply Chain Association, HKeCSC, and our panel discussion topic is Technology-Driven Total Solution, accelerating the success of Hong Kong brands into Southeast Asia's e-commerce frontier. We're excited to have you join us as we will explore the fast-paced world of e-commerce. We are honored to have 4 guests who will share their insights and success stories with us. Before we begin, let's take a moment to introduce our esteemed panelists and moderator. First, let me introduce our moderator for today's discussion, Mr. Terry Chan, founder and chairman of Hong Kong eCommerce Supply Chain Association. Welcome, Terry. Now, let's meet our panelists. Our first panelist is Mr. Bill Lee, Director of Corporate Affairs, Lala Move. Welcome, Bill. Next, we have Mr. Tim Fu, Market Leader, Hong Kong, Korea, and Taiwan PayPal Hong Kong. Welcome, Tim. Finally, we have Mr. Billy Lai, co-founder and CEO of Finmic. Welcome, Billy. Thank you for all being here. I will now hand over the session to our moderator, Mr. Terry. Thank you.
Wow, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this panel session. Okay, in the next 60 minutes of time, we are going to talk about a very, very important topic, e-commerce, Southeast Asia. Why? Because Southeast Asia, in the next 5 to 10 years of time, we regard this as the highest e-commerce growth globally. Highest e-commerce growth globally. Okay, start off with, do you know the percentage online retail in Southeast Asia? Okay, let me repeat. The percentage made by online of the retail in Southeast Asia. Okay. Let me give you some hints. For China, we are talking about around 26% in China. Pretty much the same as the US. Can you guess in Southeast Asia? How many percent? Oh, I see you smiling. Okay, a single digit. Okay, not double digit. Okay, its average is about 4.6%. Average 4.6%. Singapore is a little bit higher, but average we are talking about Malaysia, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia is well below 5%. That means what? The rest of the 95% opportunity by e-commerce. You see how big is the e-commerce potential. And also, if you look at the e-commerce, we have some essential building block. We have a payment, we have logistics, we have a marketing, we have different kind of system. They are highly linked up by data. Because of this, from the e-commerce ecosystem's perspective, this panel is strategically organized with different experts from this essential building block. And we will introduce one by one later. And today's panel, basically we have three parts. The first part, we will introduce about ourselves, what's our company doing. Also, we talk about some trend in Southeast Asia, in particular after pandemic. Secondly, I will challenge these 3 gentlemen. I will challenge them, their expertise from the industrial, what they think about how to do the e-commerce in Southeast Asia. Thirdly, we open the floor to some Q&A. I think this is but I hope by the end of this panel, you can bring out some insight, some action plan, some strategy to apply to your own business. That's why I encourage you, all of you, to be more interactive. Raise out whatsoever question, challenge them. Challenge them your question, okay? Okay, so start off with, maybe we briefly introduce about ourselves first. Maybe I start from Bill. Tell us about what is Lala Move is doing in Southeast Asia, and what is your JD in Lala Move?
Thanks, Terry. Challenge accepted, and in fact, welcomed from any questions from the audience as well. My name is Bill Lee. I'm the Director of Corporate Affairs in Lala Move. So you might have heard about our company. We are a Hong Kong homegrown unicorn. We are a actually technology-driven platform to do deliveries. So you might have heard about 送嘢嗱嗱聲, right? But do you know that actually Lala Move is not just, founded in Hong Kong. We are also operating in mainland under the brand name For Lai Lai, Hualala. So if you have been to, let's say, Shenzhen or the Greater Bay Area, you must have actually seen our vehicles on the road. But also actually in Southeast Asia and also actually in Latin America, we are growing actually at a very fast pace. At the moment in Southeast Asia, we are in 6 of the markets. Those ones that are very familiar to all of you, Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and also Singapore, 6 of them. And let me also tell you that actually we were founded in 2013. So we are 11 years old, 2013. And actually starting from 2014, that means 1 year later, we have already entered into the mainland China market as well as the ASEAN market. So you have heard a lot about ASEAN, a lot about, Southeast Asia, RCEP, so on and so forth. And if I may actually leave one impression to you is that, it's not just about whether or not you should go to ASEAN or Southeast Asia. It's about how you are going to tap into the opportunities in Southeast Asia, because that's indeed one of the really fast-growing in terms of GDP, in terms of e-commerce, in terms of all kinds of business opportunities as well. So let me just pause here and then welcome the discussion later.
Thank you, Bill. Wow, PayPal. I know PayPal well, but I want to know more. Tell me more about PayPal.
So thank you, first of all, Terry, for introducing all of us. I'm Tim. I'm the market leader for the PayPal operation in Hong Kong, Korea, and Taiwan. So in Hong Kong, we are a stored value license holder, actually, so a digital wallet licensee of the HKMA. So we are in the payments game in Hong Kong. But what we are known for, above almost everything else, is enabling the PayPal network for merchants in Hong Kong and to an extent in China, in terms of being able to sell to markets where the PayPal brand has lots of history and lots of technology-backed growth historically. So helping merchants and manufacturers and marketers and logistics through to being able to reach a consumer in the US, in the UK, in Germany, in Australia, etc., has historically been our game. But clearly, those markets are very developed. The growth rates in those markets are good, but not as good as those in Southeast Asia. So very, very interested to hear what the other panelists and also whatever is coming from the audience in terms of, hey, what is the potential and how do we do Southeast Asia? I think that's really one of the key things that I'm hoping to learn from all the other panelists and also from the audience today. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Tim. Wow, really, FIMIC. I really like the name FIMIC. Tell me more about FIMIC.
Actually, my company, FIMIC, is founded by me and our other partners 15 years ago. We are a digital martech group, home growth in Hong Kong, but now we are expanding our office in Taiwan and Singapore. Why we expand? We also still build our office in Singapore 2 years ago because we see the chance. How and a lot of companies is exploring setting up office in Singapore because in Hong Kong, many Hong Kong companies can leverage some government funding to expand their business. And we can see the trends because what we're doing is helping the business penetrating the market, not leveraging for example, our business helping most of them are B2B and B2C business. They are setting up website, setting up their presences in South Asia, but they not really set up their office at the beginning. They just set up the digital presence and then leverage some digital media to reach their target audience. But how we differentiate from other marketing company? Now we are using a lot of marketing signal. For example, we can analyze the market trend by using search signal and social signal because in Southeast Asia, if you want to expand your business, you are what signal you need to collect. For example, a lot of inferences you need to collect these kind of signals. So that's why we are leveraging data and AI technology to help our clients to expand their business in Southeast Asia.
Thank you, Willie. You talk about data, and then we'll talk about this later on. And for Hong Kong E-commerce Supply Chain Association, we established back in 2017. We are the first and the only of its kind in Hong Kong, tailored for the executive doing e-commerce, retail, supply chain, and focus in Southeast Asian markets. We share experience and knowledge. We do organize in regular events, and we provide advisory to organizations. And for Just Group, we are an e-commerce enabler. We support the brand to go into Southeast Asian markets through educational masterclass, consultancy service, and also we have an integrated end-to-end solution to support the brand. Okay, wow, I'm very exciting about Southeast Asia, the market. Okay, a couple of years ago, we encountered pandemic, and a lot of research indicated that the pandemic had a lot of impacts to the consumers, in particular in the Southeast Asian market. And based on your experience, your industry, or from a wider angle, what do you see the impacts of the pandemic to the e-commerce development in Southeast Asia? Maybe I can start from Bill.
Well, I would say, of course, the pandemic is a very sad thing. No one would want it to happen again. But although, experience told us that, all kind of different challenges like pandemic will come one day. For in the delivery segment, especially the on-demand delivery segments, actually a challenge like the pandemic is a great opportunity to us. For Southeast Asia, Terry has talked about, maybe only 5% of the people has experience in e-commerce. But actually, that has sped up a lot, during the time of the pandemic. And also, one very important thing, actually both locally in Hong Kong and also in Southeast Asia, is that the government has paid a lot of attention on, livelihood issues. That's very obvious, right? Very reasonable. But at the same time, there should be also a lot of attention of helping SMEs, the small, medium enterprises, because they are the ones who are struggling at the time of the pandemic. So that's why, during that time, actually Lalamove has spent a lot of efforts of helping the SMEs to use our services, to be able to do e-commerce, as well as having the last mile delivery part of the pain point resolved. So that's why actually to us, if you look back at the pandemic time, actually our growth has not stopped at all. In fact, it got accelerated during the pandemic time, and even afterwards, like when we are going back to the normal time, people are getting more used to use all kinds of e-commerce options, as well as on-demand delivery options, so that, the delivery can be done only really by pushing a few buttons, and then really at the point of their fingertips. So I would say that actually the pandemic is in a way a challenge as well as an opportunity for everyone.
Wow, thanks, Bill. You raised a very good point. There are two sides of the coin, challenges and opportunity. And glad to know that Lalamove doing a great job after the pandemic. Tim, have you seen the same thing in PayPal?
I think some very similar things. I think the fast growth and the acceleration definitely happened. But I think the observation is that there was also a lot of change on the consumer side. So I think in terms of numbers, I think there's one stat that I picked up just overnight. I think in Southeast Asia, during the pandemic, we added 70 million new digital consumers just during that period. So if you can imagine just converting 0.1% of that, that's a pretty decent starting point for any company. I think expectations change from a consumer standpoint.
Yep.
I think the expectation on what is the experience that I should be enjoying if I'm trying to buy something. What payment method would I use? How would I pay? What is my expectation in terms of delivery? How am I reached in terms of discovering a product? I think that's really transformed throughout the pandemic. I think there's a different statistic which points to people refer to 10 different points of reference before they make an online transaction. So that's a lot of looking at the KOLs. That's a lot of looking at who's recommending what. That's a lot of looking at the review numbers, whether it's 4.3 or 4.6 on Amazon or whatever. There's a lot of that leading to and before people actually decide to shop. I think for Southeast Asia, that's been absolutely a transformation in terms of you need to do ever more, especially from a direct-to-consumer standpoint, to really engage and capture that opportunity.
Wow, thanks, Tim. You raised a very good point. Is from the consumer's perspective, there change or shift or transformation about the consumer behavior. Yeah. Well, about consumer, I know really you are very close encounter with the consumer because you are doing marketing. Have you seen the same thing?
Yeah, I totally agree with Bill and Tim. And we see the people are very familiar with e-commerce in South Asia right now. But the problem is that during pandemic, the cost of advertising increased a lot. But our pandemic, you can see the effectiveness of the advertising has some impact. So that's right. A lot of direct-to-consumer brands. During the pandemic, they sell the brand, they have their own store, or they put their products in the marketplace. They can see a very good ROI. But post-pandemic, they can see that the advertising cost has increased, but the return do not have such return. So that's why you can see a trend in Southeast Asia. A lot of e-commerce brand has leveraged KOL and using affiliate marketing to promote the product because they don't want to spend any more on put less money on advertising, but they want to have a real ROI by leveraging or reaching some mini KOL creators to promote their product. So that's why we can see that this changes.
Wow, really, thank you. You raised a good point. It's about the shift of the consumer, the data, something like that. Well, actually, shortly after the pandemic, there's a research conducted by McKinsey about the consumer behavior preference in Southeast Asia. They found that it is more easy for the brand, for the merchant, to looking for a new company, the new brand, and because the barriers are lower online, and that's why in the next section we are more focused on what the consumer think about this. Yeah, we're trying to share the insight from the consumer's perspective. Okay. Well, let's move to our second section. As I said, I'm going to challenge these three gentlemen with very challenging questions. Okay, let's start with Bill. When we look at the Southeast Asia market, say Indonesia, can you guess how many islands in Indonesia? Can you guess? Island.
1,
I don't know how many in Hong Kong. 1,000? 8,000? 1,000? Well, I don't have the exact figure, but as far as I can recall, it's about 16,000. 16,000 islands in Indonesia. So you try to imagine how can you do the logistic delivery? It's a very big headache. But thankfully, we have a Bill here today. Okay, Bill, if I'm a merchant, I want to develop the e-commerce business in Southeast Asia. I want to looking for good logistics solution. What are the challenges and what are the opportunity a brand owner or a merchant face when they need to choose the logistic partner, how to optimize the logistic performance? Can you tell us some tips?
Well, Terry, thanks for that question. Actually, that's not a challenge for us. It's a challenge for the government, like
For the
Indonesian government, right? Yeah, and sadly, we are actually still only operating in the Java Island. We are not in all the, 16,000 odd islands yet. But even within the Java Island, if you look at, say, starting from Jakarta and radiating through to other, different cities like Bandung, like Cirebon or Semarang, Yogyakarta, these type of cities, there are already a lot of demands for logistics. And many people will tell me that actually e-commerce is easy. Last mile delivery is painful. It's painful not only in terms of, fulfillment, it's also painful in terms of cost. Because imagine if you have to own a fleet and you have to utilize them that is cost effective. Actually, it's very, very difficult because you have high season, you have low season in e-commerce, and also the productivity, the time management, they are all very costly. But then I think one very good lesson in the modern time is that you don't have to do everything on your own. You can always partner with someone else. You can do marketing partnering with Fimic. You can do actually payment partnering with PayPal. And definitely, I mean, for last mile delivery, there are a lot of options and there are a lot of help that can actually make it more, I would say, less painful and actually less costly. And definitely, that's the idea why a marketplace exists. Actually, if you think about all the big names, Amazon, Tencent, Alibaba, they are all platforms. They are trying to make things more efficient, less costly, and actually less painful to find and to match. So actually, Lalamove is just another example of being a platform that matches demands from SMEs and then matching them with supplies of driver partners who would use their vehicles to fulfill those orders. So definitely, when we look at the trajectory of all the demands and supplies in the Southeast Asia region, we can see that we are actually helping a lot with the local economy, helping a lot with the local SMEs, but at the same time, it's still a largely underserved market. So we believe that actually the market is very big, and there's a lot of opportunities for using technology to enhance the efficiency for the whole sector, because there are still a lot of demands being fulfilled by the more traditional, what we call 3PLs companies, but they are not so efficient if they do not employ technology. So that's why I will bring in the perspective of technology to help with the efficiency and the growth of the whole e-commerce sector as well.
Wow, thank you, Bill. You raised a very good point. You talk about we have to take into account of the cost, the service level, also need to find some good partners. You cannot do all the things by yourself, and also make use of technology. Maybe we can talk about this later on, about the technology in the logistic application. Okay, well, as I said, there's an essential building block. Logistics is one of the essential building blocks within the ecosystem, and also we have kind of a marketing. Yeah, marketing is very important. And you know, in Southeast Asia, when we look at the countries, something like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, they are very diverse in culture, in languages. And say if I'm a brand, if I'm a merchant, how can a brand effectively tailor their marketing strategy to do the customer engagement, to reach out to the different kind of audience across different countries? So also how we can facilitate this process by technology. I think this is a challenging question for Willie.
Well, this is a very good question. But I give you one question, Terry. Do you know how many languages used in Indonesia?
How many
languages
in Indonesia?
Indonesia.
More than 100, I think.
That's because there are a lot of local language in Indonesia.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, the answer is over 90 local language in Indonesia. That means if you want to expand your market in Indonesia, you need to have a lot of translator to fit the Indonesian market, to answer the inquiries, to reply your customers. But thankful to AI technology, I think you can leverage LLM right now, large language model. You can have use large language model to decode your customer, what's their questions. Even if you want to do a lot of local marketing, you can leverage AI technologies to write the copies and make the images at a very low cost. I think it's very important for a small, medium business, because if you want to expand the business in the whole Southeast Asia, I think it's very costly if you want to hire some people write Thai, some people write Vietnamese, some people write different copies. But now you can leverage RM. Of course, the copy, the quality may not even is not very 100% good enough. But I think it's already very good compared to using some traditional way, and the cost is pretty low. So with using different technologies, I think AI is pretty good for small and medium business to use for your marketing, and it's very good if you can try it yourself. You can output some data from search from Google engines. You can see the search trend in different local countries in Southeast Asia, and you can write some prompt and POE and OpenAI to ask a POE, ask OpenAI, ChatGPT to act as local marketer in different countries to understand the trend in different countries. They can give you some advice. So you can try that yourself. Go back and use this. So I think the solution is leveraging technologies, the AI and data. You pretty good solutions for even small and middle businesses to do it yourself.
Well, thank you, really. One follow-up question from you. You know, there are many AI tools every week. As far as I understand, more than 1,000, at least more than 1,000 new AI tools. So any tips to choose the right AI tool?
I'm using POE, but the paid version, not free trial, is totally different. But you know, in Hong Kong now, I cannot speak in public way. We cannot use OpenAI, but we can have some solutions to use it. I think most of people know that. Yeah, but I'm using POE because it has a lot of model inside POE. Yeah.
Well, if you want to know more about how to make use of that secret, let's catch up with Willie offline. Okay, I'm sure he has some very special tips for you. Okay, well, we talked about logistics, we have talked about the marketing, and I think payment is also one of the key pillars in the e-commerce ecosystem. And you know, in Southeast Asia, there are many different local payment methods. And so again, say if I'm a merchant, I'm a brand owner, I would like to develop my e-commerce business in Southeast Asia. What are the key consideration and strategy about payment that a brand should keep in mind when entering the Southeast Asian market? And how they can optimize their payment strategy so that they can tailor the preference of the local consumer and I think ultimately to drive up the conversion rate.
I think it's really very critical. I think the first point I would make is payments is a key part of the checkout journey, but not the only part. But the payments piece is critical in terms of because you want that to be very frictionless. You want that to happen almost as an afterthought. So therefore, the local players who are already in Southeast Asia extremely strong, very well engaged with the consumer. They are a critical part of what should be like an optimized payment strategy from a consumer checkout standpoint. So, we can drop all the names like the GOTechs and Razors and the Grabs, etc. I think these are super interesting, but also, the Alipay Pluses, etc. I think PayPal and traditional credit cards was a part of that. So as a merchant selling into those markets, you want all of those to be part of your solution. So going back to the point about partnership that Bill made in terms of having a partner who can help you to sell up across all of those different payment methods in multiple geographies, not just in Southeast Asia, but beyond, that should be part of what is like fairly straightforward starting point from a payments perspective. I think the frictionless piece is important because when we talk about conversion, the frictionless payments piece needs to be linked to what is the experience during the checkout journey. And therefore, we mentioned language, we mentioned culture, we haven't mentioned yet, but I think we kind of like assume it in terms of being able to pay in the currency that you want to pay in, being able to pay, against, at a website in the right language, with a provider, a payments provider, which gives you some assurance that fraud is being managed, that you can trust, and from a security standpoint that you think is a good one. So a bit of a shameless plug for PayPal, but also for many of our other kind of like frenemies in the ecosystem. There are solutions now and platforms which can work with enabling that for Southeast Asia specifically. Thanks, Terry. Yep.
Thank you, Tim. Well, you mentioned a very good point is the partnership and also the, try to make use of the existing solutions, something like that. As far as I understand, I'm very interested in PayPal because I use PayPal a lot, and as far as I understand, PayPal has very high market share in Asia-Pacific region. What you guys has done, and what you guys will do in the future?
Well,
is it a secret? No?
I think some of it is because we're during a quiet period. We're usually in a quiet period, actually, so I can't share specific figures. But I think we're hopefully in the minds of merchants, like a significant player, especially in terms of cross-border trade, and in terms of being able to offer like a viable payment solution which links to a wider network in terms of selling to consumers, not just in Southeast Asia, but beyond. I think we're very much well known for kind of like the US and Germany, etc. So I think part of that translates to what is the value proposition to the merchant in terms of what we can do. We focus on cross-border in particular, and hopefully that's something which is very valuable in terms of merchants with a great access to great manufactured goods who are wanting to look for more markets, looking for more consumers to discover their products. Hopefully we can in a position to help with that.
Well, thank you, Tim. You mentioned it's very focused on the cross-border. And do you know, according to a lot of research, the growth of the cross-border e-commerce has been much bigger than the local e-commerce. And feel free to catch up with Tim to explore more about the secret behind the scene. Okay, well, I'm very excited. I'm still very excited about Southeast Asia. And then we finished the part 2 a little bit earlier. But when we step into the session 3, we open the floor to the audience about any question you would like to know more about how to support your business in a Southeast Asian market. Let's see, are there any immediate questions from the audience? Okay, let's give you some time to think about this because we have covered a lot of things in the first 2 parts. But since we published this panel in social media, I received a lot of questions from my friends, from my connection. I'm sure you guys have. I sum up some of the key questions here, and then, okay, the first question is, okay, if I'm a small and media company, SME, how can I overcome some initial barriers and costs when I would like to expand my e-commerce business or start our e-commerce business in Southeast Asia? Say if I'm an SME, how can I overcome all these initial barriers, no matter it is the knowledge, cost, or technology know-how about marketing, payment, or logistics? Maybe, Bill, any tips for us?
Actually, that's one of the strengths of a Hong Kong company because we are already very internationally minded. So actually opening up a new market is always not an easy task. Especially for ASEAN, we talk about a lot of different markets, but actually they are very diverse. They are very different. We talk about different language, different currency, actually different culture, even different holidays, different religions, right? So actually, I will not sugarcoat that it's very easy to tap into the opportunities in ASEAN. Actually, quite the contrary. But Terry, if you ask me about what should be done, I would say that, I mean, the strength of a Hong Kong company is that we must understand the local situations. So I would say that actually one of our key takeaways is that we need to be we call it global. We need to be globally minded, but also very much localized in terms of our whole operation. Because we talk about last mile delivery, we talk about user preferences. But actually, in terms of user expectations on the ground and how to actually make them understand or believe in our business model, it would be very different in the local setting. So actually, I would like to also bring in one point. We talk about technology, right? Actually, the other point is about talent. We work with a lot of different talents from various backgrounds, various culture. So we have a very highly localized team in each of these Southeast Asian market. And also in the Hong Kong, you may call it headquarters. Actually, in the Hong Kong office, we have over 20 different nationalities in our office. So actually, on a daily basis, I'm working with really people with different culture. I'm constantly communicating with them to understand what are the local situations and local preference. And of course, another thing is about data and technology. So data and technology make things a lot easier. Even for, SMEs, you may not be of a very big scale, but actually using technology, using data, a lot of the difficulties could be instantly overcome.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. You mentioned a very good point about localization, local expertise, the talents, and also I think the cost of the Southeast Asia is much lower compared to Hong Kong. Apart from about the language capability, the local language capability. So, how about Tim? You see the same thing, or you have another solution tips for our audience?
I think for a merchant, for example, which is starting out from Hong Kong, maybe a couple of thoughts. I think my first thought is that, especially if you're like a startup or like a true micro SMB starting out, you want to sell some stuff into the Southeast Asian market. I think keeping a good grip on money being spent and also how you spend your time would be very, very important. I think it's good to hear that for example, from an AI chatbot or the fulfillment standpoint, there are now solutions which are available, relatively cheaply. But I think SMEs and entrepreneurs are very, very time poor. They want to do like a billion things in 1 week or maybe even an hour. So I think being able to leverage on, I think Bill mentioned platforms earlier. So, the providers and the platforms which can help with many aspects of not just payments, but many times starting from a payments angle, but broadly into kind of like, demand gen, into logistics, etc. Those are worth their weight in gold, especially if you're starting out and you're kind of like casting around for what should I do next or what should I do first. I think that's the first aspect. I think Bill touched on an extremely good point in terms of global, right? I think it is still not straightforward to, hey, set up an operation in an overseas market, but it is easier than before. And what we've observed is we see good case studies of merchants in Hong Kong setting up entities overseas to help with not just the payments aspect, but also from a delivery standpoint, from a demand gen standpoint. So using that as an avenue into how can we kind of like drive bigger conversion by being a little bit more local versus global, but still plugged into the global network aspect of things. I think we are seeing more of that definitely over the last few years.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Again, localization, and also I think going to what you said is about need to have better strategy up front, because as you mentioned, in particular as a startup, they want to do a lot of things within a very limited of time, very short limit of time. How about really? I know you have an office in Singapore. And have you seen the same thing?
I think for most of the SME can like what Bill's and Tim said. But I think for technologies, you can leverage some data tools. For example, for some SME, I introduced some tools you can explore some sales data on TikTok. There were some TikTok shops. We have some tools to check the latest TikTok shop data daily. You can see what is the best seller, how they sell, which KOL, which affiliate they are using yesterday, last week, and last month. You can check it every day. You can check the trending products, how they sell it. And there are a lot of tools you can leverage. For example, you can check the data on Shopee, on Lazada. If you go to the cross-border trade event in China, they can leverage a lot of data tools. They can check the sales data on Shopee and Lazada, and what is the trending product. If you're selling something on e-commerce, I think you can leverage some data tool first to explore the market, explore the trend, and explore the gap, how you can fill the gap. I think this is very important. And what Bill and Tim said, I think, and the other thing is how you fulfill the gap. Because different countries, different culture, language, and your product pricing strategy and how to go to the market. You need to think it. But I think, like what I say, you can leverage AI right now. I think the cost is even cheaper than before.
Thank you, really. I think definitely AI is a very hot topic. Maybe we can have some time to talk about this later on. And you also raise out a very good keyword, the data. Well, we have so many data right now every day. We don't have time to digest or even read the data. And if you see the supply chain, start from the upstream, the supplier, until the downstream, the consumer, we have many different data, many different data. And the question is, okay, if I would like to develop my business in Southeast Asia, time is limited, resource is quite limited. How can I leverage the data analytics and insight to understand the preference and behavior? I think we mentioned a little bit, and maybe can you further elaborate?
Yeah.
Too many data right now.
Yeah, okay.
Any solution to help us to?
I explain it in more details. For example, you can extract the best product selling in Lazada, Shopee, and TikTok. And you can also extract their script, how they promote it, what is their hook. You can extract all these data from the video, from the content, and you put all these data into AI to ask them why this video, this content is so popular. Can you explain it to me more? And use this as a template to write in other things for me, for my product. So that's like I think the process. But of course, now our company also using AI. For example, we are using some large language model to write around 2 million words. Can you calculate the cost of writing 2 million words? Only 1,000 Hong Kong dollars. Yeah, and the quality is pretty good. I think 90%. So that's why we are writing some content in different language, in Korean, in Thai, in Vietnam. You can see the cost. And I also, you can, if you check the internet, see hear what Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA CEO said, the cost of AI is dropping every year. I guess next year I use the same model to do the same things to make 2 million wordings. I think just only 100 Hong Kong dollar cost. So you can see I think it's a challenge and also the opportunity. If you can leverage AI very effectively, you can, I think, can compete with other competitors, very well.
Thank you, really. Wow. Well, it is very worthy, his suggestion, because, I can tell, even you tell me the procedure, I don't know how to do. That's why let's catch up with Willie, because his company is really helping a lot of big brands go into Southeast Asia markets. Okay. Hey, Tim, payment. We have a lot of payment data, shopping cart, whatever. How can we make use of the data more efficiently, effectively?
I think from a pure checkout perspective, I think it's important for company to have the setup available to actually execute on data and also on the insight. I think we're all very greedy about data and finding insights. I think we're often a little bit lagging behind in terms of having a person to actually execute on it. So I think having that set up to start with, I think is a good idea because, so if my website is in color blue today versus red yesterday and my conversion has gone up, maybe that's just the time of day or day of the week. Maybe it's about the color. So who can look further into that? Who can help me with some A/B testing or champion challenger testing, whatever you call it, to actually decide whether we should continue to be blue or should we try yellow tomorrow? I mean, extremely silly example, but one of the examples of where, yes, we have lots of payment data and we share much of it with our clients. it's our ongoing goal to enable our clients to use that data a little bit more to the extent of how they should or how we should work together to optimize the checkout journeys. So I think that's definitely an ongoing goal. I think the other aspect of data and also now that given the access to tools that we now have relates to how easy it is to get the voice of consumer fleshed up in terms of what are they saying. Complaints is often a bad word, but they're actually probably the most valuable form of feedback that is provided directly to those who are selling. I don't like your checkout journey. I don't like the color. This one was too small. That one was too big. That one's the wrong color. I think that's being fed into a data model in terms of informing what I should be selling tomorrow, what I should be focusing on tomorrow, and how. I think that's the power of data, and AI can help to accelerate that.
Thank you, Tim. Data is very important. How can we make use of AI? I think we will talk about this in the next question. Bill, logistics, we also have a lot of data. Start from pickup until custom delay or custom care or upon proof of delivery. How can we make use of this data, logistics data, to better help the brand, the merchant to develop the business strategy in Southeast Asia?
Well, actually, simply put, I cannot agree more to what actually Willie and Tim has said. There's really very little I can add on to the wisdoms of the two gentlemen here. I could only say that, as a platform, we of course, we are built with the mindset of data-driven. So it's very different when we are already a platform, we are a tech company. We are not a logistic company per se. We are actually a platform that use actually technology to empower and increase the efficiency of logistics. So that's why the whole company journey or the whole mindset is very much rooted in data-driven, evidence-based, and also efficiency output oriented. But I think Terry makes a very good point about, the logistics sector as a whole actually comprise a lot of more traditional players. We call them 3PLs, third-party logistic companies. I do believe that, in the course of the next years, decades, technology is going, or the digital transformation is going to be the key survival or sustainability issues for the whole sector as a whole. And that's why, technology is disrupting a lot of the different things. The use of AI, the use of data, the way to value or to measure fulfillment and also customer satisfaction. These are all things that would be very challenging to the industry as a whole. And I could only say that, to us, the data is so important to nowadays logistics sector in the whole world. And also it's not just about how to use the data, it's also about how to protect the data. Because everywhere we are talking about personal data privacy, we are talking about cyber security, even up to the level of national security, right? So that's why actually there's a huge topic for all of the companies that are operating in any place in the world, especially in the Southeast Asian region. That's a very challenging topic as well.
Thank you, Bill. You mentioned very good point, is to protect the data. Yeah, we need to really protect the data. Well, one of the very popular question I received so far is about AI technology. And then we see a lot of emerging technology right now, blockchain, VR, even recently very popular AI technologies. Okay, how can a brand or a merchant to keep an eye of these technology trends so they can stay ahead of the competition? Because we talk about the technology, we do think that in particular AI is very important to make use of the AI to develop the strategy. Oh, so how we can stay ahead? Because so many things happen on a daily basis, AI, a lot of tools. maybe more than 1,000 per week of AI tools available right now. Oh, really?
I think before we're using AI, I think the core competence of every company should be data. And every company should consider how to store your own data and collaborate with other partners. So that's why we focus on data collaborations. It's very important, I think. For example, if you are selling something to Southeast Asia, if you have more data signals, for example, for each country, you know each country's weather, the temperatures, and it also affects the consumer behaviors and what's going on in Southeast Asia. And for some data, but it's not be like weather data, you can scrape it, open it. You need to rely on some partners. For example, some data from Lalamove, there are some signal for some trending. So what they are the trends? You can, of course, I think the next trending is data collaborations. How we can collaborate with different parties. But before collaborations, you need to have your own things. Otherwise, you need to use your own money to buy data. Okay.
Thank you, Willie. And how about Tim?
I think with data and AI, I really think that a starting point could be to leverage on kind of like platforms and partners who already are investing in big chunks of money in terms of enabling that. So taking PayPal as an example, I think there's been a lot of investment into both AI and data in terms of fraud management, for example. I think for that type of topic, I think typically we'd be looking for kind of like big investments to actually make some, and with large access to data, something which, frankly, for an SME, it's not something which probably should be their focus. They should probably be focused on how to grow their business and actually getting more sales, etc. as a first of all. I think being able to outsource that to a partner, I think that should be a key part of the strategy, especially when starting out. Because I think there's a risk of kind of like, taking focus away on what should be the core aspects in terms of that. I think my personal experience is I love playing around with AI, etc. I wish I had time to do more with it. And I think I end up focusing on one or two things. I think I'll be trying to get more tips from all of my panelists later on. But I think the entrepreneurs and the SMEs of Hong Kong and of the world, I think they're really looking at kind of like how to grow their business. And there are aspects of that, of the data and the applicability and the use cases, which are outside of that kind of like key focus. I think being able to outsource that aspect is very important. And to understand that the PayPals, the Lalamoves, and the Fimics can actually help kind of like businesses to grow without them having to worry about the very technical aspects of AI and data, I think that's very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. To outsource and then you more focus on your core business. How about Bill?
Well, to me, I think for most of the companies like startup or MSMEs, probably AI is more so of an efficiency tool rather than, the core business, unless you are really doing something with AI, right? So if in the case of the nature of your business is something that AI would help you to increase your productivity and also efficiency, but it would not fundamentally change the business nature or the logic of the business model of the company. So I think actually I would really concur or echo the views of the two gentlemen, is that the use of AI could help a lot with the increase of productivity and also efficiency. So that's definitely something that we don't want to miss out. But on the other hand, having a workable business model and then to use AI as a tool to increase productivity and also to increase the edge or competitiveness of your business proposition vis-a-vis the other local competitors or players would be very important in the whole business logic or the game of the business. So that's why definitely if you can actually use AI within 5 seconds to do a thing, why would you spend like 2 hours to do that, right? So that's why I would say that you don't always have to stay ahead of AI. You can just use it as a tool to increase or to enhance your business.
Thank you, Bill. So very good point is we have to choose the right AI tool, apply the right business rule, the model. Wow, we cover a lot of things, and then see, are there any questions from the audience? Please challenge these three gentlemen. Okay, if not, okay, I think we have covered a lot of things today, from the logistic, from the payment, from the marketing perspective. Okay, let's do some crystal ball gazing. Oh, crystal ball gazing. Okay, I tell you what, okay. Think about only one word, to share with our audience, so that after this panel, they can bring out to their workplace. They can easily remember. Think about only one word. Oh, I'll give you 5 seconds. Only one word. Okay. Cannot AI. AI is 2 words.
I presume cannot be PayPal either.
PayPal can if you want. Okay. Let's start with Willie.
One word,
word.
data.
Data. Why?
Yeah.
Why data? Why you choose data?
Because you know every AI consume data. You know, for every company, I think you need to store your own data and use data to cooperate with other parties. Data is your asset. You need to store your own data and use that asset. Yeah.
Oh, data is your asset. Is your asset. Okay. Okay. Data. Okay. We have data. Okay. Tim.
My word would be consumer.
Consumer. Why consumer?
I think all the actions of whether it's Southeast Asia or whether it's more globally, I think doing it from their perspective is important. And in a world where we're dealing with many different types of payments, many different types of tooling, etc., I think keeping the customer experience in mind and actually top ranked, I think it's very, very important.
Hey. Wow, totally agree. Consumer. Okay, we have data, we have consumer. Bill, what is your buzzword?
Well, I will still use the word global.
Local.
Global. Or actually, if I may use Cantonese, is tip day. I think our company is very proud to be recognized as one of the very tip day company. And that's actually one of the success formula of going into Southeast Asia. Because actually, I mean, you cannot just think of a very brilliant business model and then you think that it's one size fits all, and then you can just copy and paste to each of the markets in Southeast Asia or globally. So that's why I mean, in the company, we always stay very humble. We are humbled in the sense that we are always adjusting by means of data that Willie has mentioned, by means of customer feedback that Tim has mentioned. So I think actually it is a mindset of global. So you are very global, you want to tap into business opportunities, but you will still need to be very humble and very tip day in your daily operation.
So your buzzword is global. How to spell GLO?
It's just a global and local. It's a combination of both.
Global, okay. Very good buzzword. I think for me it's innovation. Yeah, I think in particular nowadays, the era of AI, we cannot stick into the traditional way of doing business. If you see the topic is e-commerce as borderless. No matter where you are, you can do e-commerce business. Yeah, and I think we have basically covered a lot of things, and very good discussion. We cover AI. 3 key takeaway is if we would like to develop the e-commerce business, in particular in Southeast Asia, we have to think about from the e-commerce ecosystem perspective, the logistic, payment, marketing, the technologies perspective, and also we have to looking for good partners, in particular local partners, and also we have to focus on the data, focus on the consumer, focus on the global, and then also the innovation. Well, I think time is very limited, time flies, and then we have basically we finished all the discussion. But you see, this topic is a very big topic, e-commerce, Southeast Asia. Feel free to catch up with our distinguished panelists offline, exchange the name card, ask them special way if they can offer, and then keep the momentum going, because Southeast Asia we regard as one of the highest e-commerce growth market globally. It's a very important topic. Okay, let's give a round of applause to our distinguished panelists, and then I think we have some souvenir for the panelists, right?
Yeah. Thank you to our moderator, Terry, and our panelists, Bill, Tim, and Billy, for sharing their valuable insight today. Now may I invite the Director of Business Go Virtual, Ms. Kavina Hoon, to come on stage to present a certificate of appreciation to our guests. Thank you. Thank you once again to our esteemed speakers, and thank you, Kavina. We would like to also take this opportunity to thank our speaker gift sponsor, Electronic Identity Display Limited. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our morning session. We hope you find it very informative.